Bleacher Report picked a surprising and frankly forgotten individual in their top 10 most overlooked players this offseason, a San Francisco 49ers individual that I think you're going to be excited to hear about. It's a position that we are very strong in, and it's a position that has a ton of contracts ready to be re-signed at the end of the 2024 campaign. In today's video, I'm going to tell you why this is great news, how it's a perfect setup, and later in the video, we're going to be talking about this Brandon Aiyuk situation, and I'm going to tell you how I think it's the perfect setup for the 49ers. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the San Francisco 49ers every single day on this channel, and it really does help me out if you'd hit that subscribe button and join the conversation and don't miss out on any of the action. The good news is this: Bleacher Report picked their most overlooked players in the NFL heading into training camp, and the 49ers has one in Rock Ya-Sin. This is interesting, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you feeling positive about the cornerback grouping coming into this season? We have some big players now. This is starting to look very special. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say, though, real quick. The addition of cornerback Rock Ya-Sin on a one-year, $1.3 million deal drew far less attention, talking about less attention than Ricky Pearsall. The cornerback depth he can provide could give San Francisco's defense a major boost. The San Francisco 49ers went looking for big names at the NFL trade deadline, checking on the availability of Denver Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain, Chicago Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, and then Washington Commanders defensive end Montez Sweat, among others, according to Adam Schefter back in November. 49ers ultimately, as you know, landed Chase Young, who had a minimal pass rushing impact and did nothing to improve the secondary. While Ya-Sin isn't on the same level as Surtain or Johnson, he can help bolster the back end. The 28-year-old was mostly just serviceable as a backup with Baltimore last season. However, he was a quality starter for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2022, allowing an opposing passer rating of only 82.6 in coverage. While Ya-Sin may not be a full-time starter in San Francisco, let me dispel any rumors there. He will not be a full-time starter in San Francisco unless something goes terribly wrong. Knock on wood. The experience and ability he brings to the cornerback room should not be undervalued. What do we know about Rock Ya-Sin? He's going into his age 28 season. He's the 34th overall pick. He's great for a cornerback as a 34 overall pick. That's not bad for the secondary there. Basically, he's a first rounder, and his stats are not exactly stellar. They're decent, but he's also been a backup a lot. So I would expect that. And that's what Bleacher Report's trying to say here. They're not trying to say he is some incredible standout player and the 49ers just somehow picked up this absolute gold. What they're trying to say is this guy's going to be really, really good, and everyone's overlooking how valuable he's going to be to the franchise this season. Also got to remember that he is a special teamer. He also is important in terms of bringing that depth because we needed that depth and we have it. We have Yadam. We have some ballers now. I mean, I'm really stoked. Actually, we had ballers last year too. I mean, our starters are absolute ballers. Then you add into the fact that Deommodore Lenoir might end up being able to play more of a true cornerback this season. There are some huge valuables out there, but I want to also get into the Brandon Aiyuk stuff. I'm sure you know all about it because if you're anything like me, which I'm sure you are, you've been all over Twitter waiting to see if a deal's getting done today, as he did report yesterday. So this was the original news. Says he wants to be in San Francisco first, but is comfortable playing elsewhere if that's something that the San Francisco 49ers are willing to do via trade, which sounds like, I don't know. I'm just going to, give you my take here, but it sounds like he is interested in joining the San Francisco 49ers in that extended contract, or he's really expecting to have the trade option available. So it sounds a little bit like what we've seen with, I'm going to pull up the poll, by the way, in just a second here that I did. But it sounds like he's kind of in that in-between. Is he going for it or not? I guess the poll won't work right now. That's fine. We'll move on. Other things that were out there that I thought were really interesting before I give you why I think this is a perfect setup. Adam Peters decided not to trade for Aiyuk, a player he knows well, points to a high asking price of 49ers in my opinion. So if you didn't catch this, that was Adam Schefter yesterday was talking about how the Washington Commanders were in the conversation for trading for Aiyuk during the draft time. And they didn't want him. Or they didn't go for him, probably because he was too expensive. So this whole, I'm bringing Jaden Daniels around with me, I'm FaceTiming Jaden Daniels stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. It means nothing. He's just another player who the guy happens to be friends with that plays for another team or is about to play for another team. It doesn't really matter in my opinion. But it gets more interesting, of course. This was probably the best take I saw on it all day yesterday. For what it's worth, up to this point, and ever since the draft ended, the 49ers have given zero indications that they are interested in trading Brandon Aiyuk. They have him under contract for the upcoming season, and acquiring draft capital to 2025 or beyond does not help. Yes, that's something we need to think about, right? If they were in for trade, I said this last week, I think. If they're in for trading Brandon Aiyuk, they would have done it during the draft. If the draft capital for the 2024 season, this is the season the 49ers care about. The goal is the Super Bowl. You don't want to trade away one of your best players on your team if the goal is the Super Bowl. I get it. I completely understand that. Now, granted, money doesn't grow on trees, and you do have to figure out, you have to make some business decisions about how that gets done. So yes, trades are still possible. Nobody knows for sure how this is all going to end, but it seems incredibly unlikely to me that the 49ers will trade Brandon Aiyuk. I feel like, just to be honest with you, they would rather bench him and sit him on the sidelines than trade him, because I think it's better for the 49ers in the long term if they can give a chance to this guy. If they can give him a shot at being on this team, being in the mix, because come on, what player is going to want to sit? He's not going to hold out that intensely. He's going to want the deal done. Yeah, he wants to get paid, but he's still got $14 million coming his way this year. He still has the opportunities, and let's not forget who is holding the car. So how do I think this is a perfect setup for the 49ers? So Brandon Aiyuk shows up to Santa Clara, wants to meet with presumably John Lynch and company, and he wants to get a deal done. Right? That we know those things to be true. That's all out there. Okay. He also, according to other reports out there, said that he felt like he's taking it hard. All of this trade talk stuff. Right. So here's how this is a perfect setup. Brandon Aiyuk showing up shows his cards. It shows, one, of course, that he's definitely willing to be traded. He said as much. So he's showing up. He's saying basically, pay me or trade me, please, okay? But he's saying it please because he knows who holds all the cards in the situation, and that's the 49ers. So what do you want when you're in the middle of negotiations for anything business-related? You want one side of the part. We want one party to show weakness, and Brandon Aiyuk has done that, which means not only did the 49ers already carry all of the leverage, they now carry even more leverage. This puts the 49ers, the organization, in a better position to kind of handle the situation. It also does something that I think is really awesome. I was listening to Willard and Dibbs yesterday, and I don't remember who had someone had the idea, but the take was brilliant. It was just, let's remember that these are human beings. Let's remember that Brandon Aiyuk is a real person. He's been having a hard time with how all of the negotiations have been going. He's been struggling with it. It's been affecting him. And what does he want right now? Man, face-to-face conversation. Sit down together and talk. This is an opportunity for both parties to get their ideas out there. It's also an opportunity for the 49ers to reassure Brandon that they do want him. They've seen the social media posts, I'm sure. They now can confidently, face-to-face, look at Brandon Aiyuk and say, we do want you on this team, but we do have to make business decisions, and there is a limit to what we can offer you. If we didn't have a limit, we would offer you the moon, Aiyuk, but we can't do that. So, Brandon, this is the best we can offer you right now. We want you on this team. You're a crucial part of running it back and trying to get back to the Super Bowl and hopefully winning it this season. And we want you here, but this is what we can do. And that, I think, is a good thing. I'm excited to see that Aiyuk, in a way, is desperate to play for the 49ers, desperate to get a contract done, desperate to move on from this, because it might mean that he's willing to kind of come the 49ers way a little bit more than maybe originally, and it might mean, therefore, that he's going to say yes, even if it's a little bit lower than maybe he would have had he been as strong-willed as some of the other players out there. I still think that this deal's getting done around $28 million, which seems more than fair considering the market, where the market's at right now, and considering how the 49ers value him for this upcoming season. So let me know what you think in the comments. I look forward to joining you there and talking about it. As always, this is a crazy and awesome time to be alive.